Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of Lionel's Fallen Flags series that you've been watching right here on Dale's Rails. Well, I hope I've got everything finally repaired on this Wabash locomotive. The locomotive started malfunctioning and running poorly, and it was something that warranted me completely doing a complete assembly of this locomotive, and I quickly discovered that the E unit was in the frame rather tight. If you're not familiar with these locomotives with magnet traction, they're open frame motors, but they used aluminum plates instead of steel because of the magnet traction. So I don't know if that just different climatic changes over time that somehow that metal reduced down somehow and really tightened around that E unit, because I think it was impeding the pins on the drum and from rotating properly and wedged in there. So, but upon further investigation of pulling that E unit out, when I finally was able to get it out of there, I noticed some unusual reddish film on the E unit drum that kind of looked like a varnish of some kind. So, I knew that wasn't doing it any good. So I removed all that, put it all back together, and it's running perfectly fine now. So now I ended up having a great looking and great running locomotive. And, I just want to let you know, don't really overlook these sometimes just because, they might have these listed as an as is. You don't really know until you get it. But I just knew when I looked at this, because I have put these in various wish lists from different sellers over the years. I've, had these several times and, pass on for whatever reason or another. Usually it's because they're really beat up, and it just seems like they wanted a lot of money for a locomotive that was that beat up. And, this one came along, and I missed out on the one before this. It was in really, really good condition too, just like this. And I had it in my wish list. Well, before I could pull the trigger on it, somebody bought it out from under me. And then this one came up right after it. And it turned out to be kind of a blessing in disguise, because I saved over $100 on this locomotive. And yeah, it required a little bit of, work and to get it, running again. But all in all, it went really well. And so now I've ended up with a locomotive in one of the best conditions of these I've ever seen. This is flawless. There's not a blemish, scratch, or anything on it. That's why it's making me think this might have been a factory reject, where it was stuck back in the box, put on a shelf, and there it sat until I bought it. So don't be discouraged. Sometimes the pictures can be very telling. And the two sets I have, these are the first sets of the FARR and Fallen Flags series I have here. I thought it would be interesting from my perspective of the similarities between the series as more of by design than coincidence. I've always viewed these as a continuation of the series anyway, even though Lionel changed hands during production. And these were likely because they wanted to have their own series. I even call the early models MPC or Fundimensions at times, as it's likely the tooling and designs were by Fundimensions. The last 3 rows in the FARR series were also considered Fallen Flags, and all of the Fallen Flags were also considered FARRs. The Atchison Topeka Santa Fe was the first FARR steam set in '79, and I noticed early on that it had a unique boiler shell. I have no other post-war or MPC engines with this shell until the Wabash came along, and it's the first steam Fallen Flag set it shares this same boiler. As the description states, it shares the same boiler shell as a small Santa Fe Hudson. Until I purchased this model, I just didn't realize it was the FARR Atchison Topeka Santa Fe boiler shell. All FARR sets are steam and freight, and I don't know if it's any accident that the first Fallen Flag is a steam set that uses that same boiler shell or not, but it also has the distinction of being the only passenger set between the two series. All of the FARR sets headed up here with the 8900 Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe were considered to be the top of the line MPC sets by Lionel. And there were 5 sets announced from the very beginning. These were not considered starter sets. And I believe that Lionel at that time did a much better job of cataloging these sets, such as releasing the commemorative boxcar Yeah, that steam sound in that tender doesn't sound like any other MPC era steam tender that I have. Of course, this is the only FARR set I have. But this was before they were doing both the whistle and the horn, or the whistle and the sound of steam, and this only has sound of steam. Always kind of reminds me of sleigh bells for some reason. But you can see here the commemorative boxcar showed each of the 5 roads that were going to be part of the series, which seems to be good marketing strategy, as collectors knew what road each set would be from the get-go, likely anticipating the next release. The FARR sets also have the distinguishing triangular marking on every car. You can see here that lets you know that these are part of the FARR sets, easily distinguishable from anything else, unlike the Fallen Flags there. The FARR sets being in production from about the middle of the MPC era to the end. In '85, just before release of the first Fallen Flag set, cataloged in the last MPC catalog in 1986. See, that sounds like Santa's sleigh bells. So there was 5 FARR sets, ran from 1979 to '85. Each was a 5-car freight set with 1 add-on car that you could buy. I think it usually came out the next year. And set number 1 here being the Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe. Of course, it was released in 1979. It's the Hudson. It came with a boxcar, reefer, tank car, hopper, and a bay window caboose. And it had the add-on crane car, which I've made several attempts to buy, but something else just seems to come up. And it's something that's painted in the blue and yellow freight scheme, and it doesn't really seem to go with this set, in my mind anyway. But set number 2 was the Union Pacific, released in 1980. It's a Berkshire. I think it has the distinction of being the first ever Lionel engine produced with, your smoke deflectors, smoke lifters, or elephant ears, whatever you want to call those. It came with a boxcar, a reefer, a tank car, a hopper, a bay window caboose. It had the add-on flat car with trailer. And set number 3 was a Great Northern, released in 1981. It was a Northern style locomotive. It came with the boxcar, reefer, tank car, hopper, bay window caboose, and it had the add-on stock car. Set number 4 was the Southern, 1983 to 84. It's a Mikado. It's a boxcar, reefer, tank car, hopper car, bay window caboose, and it came with an add-on stock car. Now, number 5 was a Pennsylvania, released in 1984 to 85. It was the S2 turbine. It came with a boxcar, a double-door boxcar, a tank car, a hopper, an N5C caboose, and it also came with the add-on stock car. So that's your 5 FARR sets. So 1986 ushered in the era of LTI, and the Fallen Flags set ran from 1986 to 93. There were 7 sets. Set number 1 here being the Wabash, released actually in 87. It's the only steam, of course. And you can see it's a passenger set. It came with 6 passenger cars. They were all lighted. They had the 7227 diner, 7228 baggage, 7229 combine, and then there was 2 coach cars, the 7230 and 7231. I believe they were the Danville and Peru, and the 7232 observation. And you can see that we still are on the fun dimensions era of technology when it comes to your engine sounds. And so set number 2 was the Milwaukee Road, released in 1987. Actually, the same year this was released. That's kind of surprising. It was a GP9. It came with a boxcar. It was a freight set, a reefer, a hopper, a gondola, a tank car, an N5C caboose. And it's one of only 2 sets in the series that had an add-on car, which was a stock car. Set number 3 was a Great Northern, released in 1988, EP5. Still no rail sounds, but this engine had an electronic horn. It came with a boxcar, reefer, gondola, crane car, hopper, and an extended vision caboose. Set number 4 was a Western Maryland, 1989 NW2 switcher with bell. Really off of the design of the early 50s NW2 switcher, so it was equivalent to that. I think they were kind of a grayish, tannish color, and it came with a boxcar, a reefer, a gondola, a flat car with trailer, a tank car, and an extended vision caboose with smoke. That's surprising. And so that leads up to 1989, and ushering in 1989, we were ushering in a new era at Lionel at that time. And this engine here is not part of the Fallen Flag series, but I looked around and thought I had an exclusive engine with an exclusive boiler shell, and turns out this is the exact same model as the Wabash that was released in '89. The rating here, it is a 462 Pacific. It just does not have the smoke lifters on it, but it's identical to the '86 version in every way. There is some variation between the the models down here. We just got a regular standard whistle and bell, and these 2 models here, you've got a swinging bell on each one, and then they have this smokestack that looks like it didn't clear the tunnel real good, or the locomotive was running too quick. They're kind of bent over, So that's the difference between those two locomotives. And this particular model also has the, I noticed the plastic tender tray that I was talking about that suspends that board up off the chassis. And so here we've got some improvements with that design as well. But the other more significant thing that stands out in '89 is the first ever introduction to, well, this model, which is not a Fallen Flag, but it was released during the Fallen Flags, and this has been given the dubious distinction as being the first ever model to be equipped with rail sounds. And with rail sounds, you know, we do have somewhat of a primitive sound system, but you can tell there's some improvement. We got some steam engine sounds, whistle, and bell. So this is where it kind of all began with rail sounds at Lionel. Now, I apologize here. I don't have very much rolling stock with the Pennsylvania Railroad, but we're going to run this around a little bit. This motor here is a transversely mounted pull-more motor, just like the 1939 model. This is a scale model. You know, you hear a lot about the 700Es released at this same time. Well, this was kind of its little brother. And you know, you can even see the reverse mechanism is the same. It didn't have the lever. It's just got the little plug that you move in the back of the motor like that. So it's designed and modeled, I think, exactly like the 1939. Of course, this differs in the fact that it has rail sounds and a smoke unit. And it has an operating backup light that only works in reverse. So I don't think the original one had that on there, but I think all the other molding details, everything you see on the locomotive, this thing also does have steam chest smoke as well. So it's a nice little model. This is a good example of something to run in your collection when you're first putting down your track. You know, I kind of recommend running every locomotive in your arsenal, big and small, and especially these little steam switchers, because the issue with these is why I had to change my layout. There is little to no clearance on that pilot, so they don't take much track deviations like inclines or track switches, which is unfortunate because, well, it's a switcher. So I think we'll run this around a little bit just to kind of get an idea of that technology. Okay, well, there's that. You know, oddly enough, I don't have much Pennsylvania rolling stock, but I do have this only smoking Pennsylvania caboose out of every one of my cabooses, and I heard it making some sounds. So if you see any smoke coming out of there, that's okay. It's just a smoking caboose. So 1990 came around, and apparently Lionel took a break from the Fallen Flags series, and so no sets were produced in 1990. Apparently they were focused on research and development, and when 1991 came along, they produced this set, and it seemed to be jam-packed full of firsts. And it was the Frisco set, headed up by a GP7. This came with the first ever diesel Rail Sounds boxcar, a double-door boxcar, a first ever gondola with coil covers, a tank car, a stock car, an extended vision caboose, and this is the only set of 2 with add-on cars, but it came with 2 in this set, which was a crane car and a flat car. So in 1992, Lionel released this set, which is a set of dual GP7s of the nickel plate road. This was a power and dummy unit, and it was the first dummy unit with rail sounds. And it was a freight set. I don't have the exact cars, but these would be the similar cars, and I picked the cars that were similar in color and type that they would be. You know, the semi-trailer down there would have been a Sears semi-trailer, but it kind of gives you the idea of the set, the way it was configured. And this set was pretty much pick apart, and I think it appears that interest was dying off on these sets and getting toward the end of it. And the things they kind of picked apart, they just described the set as too drab, and they were quick to point out that the font used for the Sears, written on the side of the semi-trailer, was from 1980, and the nickel plate road disbanded in 1964. And then they thought the steel-sided offset cupola caboose was an odd choice, given the nickel plate road being known for their bay window cabooses. We'll run this set around a little bit. So 1993 ushered in the end of the Fallen Flag era with set number 7, the last and the least desirable set, a set of the Alco Fefes ABAs. This was a freight set that consisted of 6 freight cars, and I thought I'd bought all the freight cars with this set already. I've had this set for a while and bought this a long time ago, so I don't know if I just can't locate it. But it would have had the single-door brown boxcar there, a double-door brown boxcar, the Erie flat car, which is, I guess, a pretty popular car amongst collectors today, and then also this Erie hopper car is sought after, along with the Erie caboose. Of course, it had this Erie reefer with it. And this set had issues with it where it was, drove a lot of people away. Apparently, they had a design to them where they put these operating magnetic couplers. And you can see here, it forced the lower lip of that pilot back in behind the thumbtack. And the complaint was people didn't like them because it gave them a buck tooth appearance. And I can see here, I forgot, I think when I bought this set, the guy had mentioned that these had received the modification. Apparently, Lionel came out with a modification, mainly because guys were having trouble with them derailing around curves because of the way that was designed. You can see here it's even showing the flanged ends with your automatic couplers, and this is the the instructions came with it. They are from 1993. So apparently, whoever had this, he did the modification to both the power and the dummy. They usually only did it on the trailing A unit just because that was the only one that usually people were using to pull their consist with. And that was where they were having the trouble. So fortunately, this has been upgraded. These are built in every way, just like the post-war models too, the early post-war models, where you've got your die-cast trucks and frames. But the difference being is this is a removable pilot that you can see there's just two screws and that pilot's separate. So apparently it could be pulled off pretty easily and replaced. I'm not sure. Yeah, that pilot's metal, so that's interesting. The only difference is it's a separate piece, and it wouldn't be like that on your post-war. Let's run this around a little bit. This did come with a electronic horn, even though it didn't have rail sounds. I think that's another thing that hurt this set. Well, guys, since I got both sets of these locomotives with similar sound sets, I thought it might be kind of fun to see if we can simulate maybe some stereo sound effects with these. And that's just because, well, I'm an old guy alone in my basement, and this is what I do for entertainment. And I've tried these out individually, so I know there's some differences, but I haven't tried them together like this yet. And I will have to say the sound are a little bit better in the boxcar. You know, they are identical. This model here, this has the little plastic shelf I was talking to you about that come in these sometimes. So it's a little bit different. 89, 86. So somewhere in that time span, they must have started putting the little plastic shelf in there. And I don't know if you can still buy those, but maybe you guys that can 3D print your own can do it. It would probably be a great idea to go that way if you could. And, you know, these two locomotives up here are very similar in the fact that they are both a 462 Pacific style. They have the same 6-wheel tenders. And there is some differences. You know, obviously this one's a different paint job, but, you know, you see here we got the smoke lifters, smoke deflectors, elephant ears, whatever you want to call those. I'll go along with it. And down here, you know, this is the same boiler shell, different wheel arrangement, but, you know, it's got a different bell and whistle on it, whereas these both have a swinging bell and the whistle that looks like it's got bent over from the train going too fast. So that's the difference between these two. And this is not probably the first time that Lionel ever put these on. It seemed like once they started, then they started showing up more often. I really think that honor goes to the set that came after this one, which would be the Union Pacific Berkshire set. I think that was actually the first Lionel locomotive to get smoke lifters on it. So let's try this out and see if we can get some stereo fix. That worked really well. Hopefully that turns out on camera. So let's try the diesels out now. You know, it's not quite as noticeable. I think the sound volume is a little bit more in the boxcar. That might be some of it. These do both have volume controls on it, and you can also disable the engine sounds. There is a switch in there. I think it just shuts off the engine sounds by themselves. Maybe we can try that. Well, let's give this a shot and see how it goes. Well, that was a little unexpected. Yeah, it didn't really make a big difference. The bell sounded a little bit different. And, it didn't help that E unit being kind of noisy. So, I had fun shooting this session, and I noticed it was a little bit long, and I appreciate those of you who took the time to stick around till the end. And I want to welcome all my new subscribers. You have been watching another episode of Adele's Rails. Thanks for watching.